Well, the next thing I got to do is drill a hole in the side of this here for the set screw. So we'll try to do that in the mini mill, and we'll clamp this in the self-centering vise. Just has clearance to miss this nut down here on the vise, and clamp it in there like that. I'm going to use the center finder to find the center of between the two jaws of the vise and get that zeroed out in Mach 3, and then put a center drill in the chuck and mark it and get it started, and then change to a drill bit. Okay, we're centered, so let's move the part over to the bit. I've got a mark on the part about where I want the set screw to be. It's not real critical. We're centered front to back on the y-axis. I think that's about where we want to be. Alright, now we'll change to put the drill bit in there for the correct size for the tap. I'll have to look it up and see what it is, and then we'll drill the hole. Well, it looks like the drill size for the 5/16 tap is 17/64, but the bit's too long and I can't go up any higher in the milling machine, so I can't drill it here. So I think what I'll do is just unbolt the vise from the bed of the mill and set the vise on the drill press table and drill it there. Okay, let's drill it on the drill press now. Okay. I've got the vise clamped in place now for the tap to be centered. So I'm going to try to at least get the tap part way through while I've got it clamped down here to keep it straight. We'll see how that goes. Put a little WD-40 on here. Well, my bit wants to spin. See if I can tighten that up a little bit more. Try to countersink that opening a little bit. I think it's going to be okay. Well, the set screw fits. That's the only one I have, is they're actually too long, but I have to find a shorter one. But let's see how it fits on the thing here. Feels like it might be out just a hair. Can't hardly see it. But we'll be able to tell more once we can mount something to this. A little bit bigger diameter, we can see if it's got too much wobble. If it does, we may have to come back and try to face this again on this machine here. Before I drill the holes in this chuck for mounting, I think I'll face it off and get some of that wobble out of it. I found a piece of cold rolled and turned it down to 5/8 so that this would slip over to simulate the same as the Shopsmith. So let's just face this off, and then we'll be ready to drill the mounting holes. While I've got it in the lathe, I think I'll clean up the backside here. It looks like it's a little bit of a wobble on the backside just to make it look nice. Looks like it's running a whole lot better now. Looks pretty nice. So let's try it on the Shopsmith now. Looks like it's running pretty true now. What I want to do now is drill 6 holes in the faceplate. 3 will be through holes for screws to go through to screw into wood, and then 3 will be tapped holes to screw a longworth chuck to this, so that you can use the longworth chuck on the Shopsmith lathe. So it would be nice if I had a rotary table to mount on the mill to drill the holes, or at least mark them. But I do have a swivel vise that has graduations for every degree. So if I could get this centered this way in the vise, it's self-centering vise this way. Self-centering vise this way. So if I can get it centered this way, all I'd have to do is loosen these two bolts and rotate it 60 degrees for each hole, and I can line it up from the center and then move out to where I want, and then mark that one, rotate it 60 degrees, mark that one, and so forth. So let's see if I can get this centered in here and see what we can figure out. Looks like we got about a 1/16 or so, maybe a little more play. So if I can find some shims to put on each side to center it at the same thickness, we might be able to get this thing centered. So if I can get a clamp on here to hold these parallels on here. There we go. Got a couple pieces of cardboard here that might work. I think that might just work. We'll give it a try anyway. I've got a broken off 1/4 inch router bit that I can use to put in the drill chuck to get the part centered. We'll use that for centering it, and then we can, once we get it centered and zeroed out, we can put a center drill in there. Well, I think we're centered, so I can zero out the X and Y axis. Alright, I made a little mark right here, if you can see that. It's about 3/8 of an inch from the shoulder here to the outer part of the diameter here. So half of that's about 3/16, which is what that mark is. So what I can do now is just line the center drill up with that mark and then drill that one, or mark that one with the center drill, loosen the vise up and turn it 60 degrees, and hopefully everything should work out right where I can get 6 equally spaced holes. That looks pretty close right there. Yeah, I think this is going to work out okay. There's 30 degrees right there. Off of the 90 would be the 60 degrees, and then the next one would be another 60 degrees, which would be right here, and so forth. So I think this is going to work out okay. So we'll snug this up on the 30-degree mark. I think I can get by just tightening one bolt. We'll hold it while we mark it. My mark's around on the other side here. It's on the side, I think, at 90 degrees. So I need to move it around to .30. Right there. Well, there's that. Now what we'll do is we'll leave it in the vise, unbolt the vise from the mill bed, and take it over to the drill press and get one hole lined up with the drill bit, clamp the vise down, then we can do the same procedure to drill the holes. Well, it looks like I kind of goofed up when I had this clamped into the vise. I had it centered this way, and I thought I had it centered this way with a self-centering vise, but I had the set screw turned too far around. It was hitting here, so I wasn't really centered this way, which threw my holes off a little bit. You can see this hole is closer to the edge, and these over here are further away. So hopefully when we bore through there, we'll have enough room for the head of the screw on the ones that need the through hole. The tapped holes, it won't matter, because it really doesn't matter if they're centered or not, as long as the tapped holes, we make the holes in the longworth chuck to match the tapped holes here, which I think we can do. So anyway, I'm going to take this set screw out now so it doesn't screw me up again. Get it out of the way. I'm not going to be able to rotate the vise like I thought, because I've got to turn the part to miss the sides of the vise when I'm drilling, so I have to turn it each time and just line the hole up. Drilled those holes 11/64 for a number 8 wood screw to pass through. Now I'll change bits and put a number 21 bit in for a number 1032. machine screw. Need to file this burr off so it'll sit flat. Well, we can see on the underside that it's going to be, this is a tapped hole here, and this is a through hole here, which is going to be a problem because you don't have room for the head of the screw because it's not centered there. This is a tapped hole, so it won't matter. This one here is a through hole for a screw. That one looks okay. Tapped hole, screw hole, so that looks okay. So it looks like it's just this one hole here that's kind of messed up too far in, but I don't know what we can do about it right now. Well, I decided, I think what I'm going to do, I don't like this one bit, those holes being off. So what I'm going to do, I've marked the one hole that was the original first hole that I know is right 3/16 from the edge, and marked it on both sides. What I'm going to do is fill these holes with some epoxy putty and then sand it off flush on each side, fouled on this side, and reset it up in the mill to this hole, to the center, and try it again. So I went and got some of this JB Weld, it's called water weld putty. I don't really need it to be waterproof, but it said it was good for aluminum. So I'm going to try that and see how that does. I've never used this stuff before, so we'll have to see how it goes. So you're supposed to cut off the amount you want to use. Got like a plastic cellophane around it. I see it's two different colors that I guess you mix together. Thoroughly knead putty with fingers to a uniform color. If I can work it down in there to where it comes out the other side. Oh yeah. Well, I think we got them all filled. Hopefully we got it worked all the way down in the holes. So we'll let that sit there and see what it looks like in 1 hour. Come back in an hour and see what it looks like. Well, it's been an hour. Looks like it's all hardened up. There's the piece that was left over. Hard as a rock, so I think what I'll do is put it back on the lathe and let it spin. That way I can use some sandpaper or something to clean this up. Well, we got that side cleaned up. Well, that looks pretty decent. Let's get it set back up in the mill. Well, I finally got it set back up in the mill. Took a little doing to get it centered right. So let's try the first hole. We're at 30 degrees, which is 60 off of 90. Well, it certainly looks a little more symmetrical. We'll be able to tell more once we drill the holes all the way through and we can see it from both sides. So that's what we'll do next, is go back to where we left off when we drilled the holes and take another look at it. Hopefully it'll be alright. Well, let's try drilling these again and see what happens. I think I'll just tap these with the drill in the vise here. That's the through hole, so this is a tapped hole. Well, I'm going to call this project done, at least till we get ready to use it. I'm a little disappointed in the way it turned out, screwing up like I did and get the holes off, and even the rework. I think the putty might have been a little softer, because when I went to re-drill, it's almost like it wanted to lead back into the old hole, so they were still not as located as good as they should have been. But it's usable, so we'll set it aside till we get ready to make the longworth chuck and mount to it and see how that turns out. So till next time, thanks for watching.